Sure. Now they're talking about Leonard Floyd. This is RamView.
It's hot out there. Hold on the line of scrimmage. Headline,
Live from the Ram Cave, I'm Joe Tarosian, and this is RamView, the March 6, 2023 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident, need help, got questions, call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word, KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues? Get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. Okay, we are in the house. It is 4/18 on March the 6th. My friend of mine, Bill Alajaji, the purpose-driven Alajaji, huge Raider fan, is celebrating his birthday, and he's also in tears because the final nail was put in. Derek Carr has signed with the New Orleans Saints. How the New Orleans Saints, somewhere between $24 and $28 million, 24 to 28 rocks over the salary cap, found the dough to sign Derek Carr for 4 years, 150. I don't know. But I imagine there are going to be massive restructures. I imagine there are going to be some guys put in the street like Jameis and maybe even Taysom Hill. So if you think the Rams have cap issues, check out the Saints. We're going to talk some quarterbacks in the NFL draft today. We're going to wonder, is Bryce Young, is he the last hope for the short quarterback as his size and measurements came in? And we're going to talk mock draft, of course, another bad mock draft. I don't say who gave the bad mock draft. I will say who gave the good mock draft. And right now, Rams Wire last week, that one is still the best. But I thought it was so funny is that we talked about Leonard Floyd on Friday. Now, I'm not saying anyone watches this show other than loyal RamView followers, but all of a sudden, Leonard Floyd was all over, the Rams talk everywhere, right? And we talked about the details surrounding a salary cap hit and the dead cap hit if you moved him. So I wake up this morning and I've seen other podcasts talking about it, and I saw it in Rams news here and there, everywhere, about the Rams moving on from Leonard Floyd and Allen Robinson like it's Scoop City. I know I shouldn't say that, but yeah, it felt like, man, I got a scoop. It's like, really? If you're just looking and sizing up the Rams, right? If you're worried about, concerned about where the Rams are going, you're going to know this stuff. The smart fan already knew about Leonard Floyd, right? And okay, let's talk about this. If they get rid of Leonard Floyd and Allen Robinson, if it's about the money, I get it, right? But if you're talking about pairing Floyd, Robinson, along with Ramsey and Wagner, then I'm not dancing, right? Because we could move off Allen Robinson. I kind of like him. I'd like to see him get another shot in a normal season, but you could always find another receiver. You know, there are receivers out there. You can get another receiver. And you can, with a little more effort than finding a receiver, you can find a player to hold the edge and go after the quarterback, right? You can. But you're not going to find a shutdown corner who could run, tackle, and is as physical as Jalen Ramsey, the ability to rush the quarterback and literally line up anywhere from the box to the back half. Literally the whole, I want to say back seven, the whole back eight. He can line up anywhere, and it's not Ramsey's fault the Rams don't know how to use them, or they're still married to an archaic scheme. One of the things I noticed as I'm working on a project that I'm going to talk about in another week or two, as I'm working on a project on some Ram stuff, is that 2 years is an eternity in football. And the Rams have been running that Vic Fangio soft shell 2 for 3 years. They've run it in 20, 21, and 22. And you talk about a bill coming due. It wasn't the salary cap bill that came due. It was the defense's bill that came due because everyone's figured it out. So I'm still hesitant, like I said, to declare Allen Robinson a bust. He had no time in the offseason with Stafford. They didn't play in the preseason. And there was madness this regular season. And so when Stafford was under duress, he's throwing that ball to the player he's familiar with. And obviously that is going to ace out Allen Robinson in regards to lining up next to Cooper Kupp. And that's something that more people are starting to notice, and it's really good. But we were talking about this back in 2021. Love Cooper Kupp, but the offense becomes so Cooper Kupp centric. And then again, it's hard to argue with a guy that's always open, the Travis Kelce wide receivers, right? But if the Rams want to move off Allen Robinson because of the money, okay, I get it. Tough move. I'm good with it. Again, no matter what the Rams do regarding Leonard Floyd, right, they're going to take a dead cap hit with Leonard Floyd, right? Right now, if you cut him, which I thought was amazing, Rams trying to trade Leonard Floyd. If they can't trade Leonard Floyd, they're going to cut him. If they cut him now, there's only $3 million, $3 savings to that, and a 15.5 savings if you cut him after June 1st, right? And I say that because the focus you'd like to think is this current window, the opportunity facing the Rams in 2023. We did a breakdown on Friday of the NFL teams or the NFC teams that are kind of in limbo. The NFC window is open. The Eagles are going to take a step back. The Cowboys are going to take a step back. The 49ers don't know who their quarterback's going to be. Seattle, you don't know what you're going to find in Seattle. Will they repeat this? Can they get another year like they did last year out of Geno Smith? Detroit's ascending. Washington will be interesting, but they're going to be breaking in a new quarterback. The Giants are going to be good, but they got limitations with Daniel Jones, who likely will be back. So the window for the Rams is 2023. Any move that involves Floyd, Robinson, Ramsey, along with Wagner, tells me the Rams are closing the window, right? So if the Rams cut Leonard Floyd before June 1st, he's only going to give them $3 million back against the cap, right? And a heavy dead cap hit of $19 million. So he's going to be 31 this year. And if somebody wants to make a deal for Leonard Floyd and his $22 million payday this year, great. But Leonard Floyd is more ordinary than extraordinary. And I can't imagine a huge market for a 31-year-old edge guy making 22 rocks. So before June 1st, it's only a $3 million savings. Cut him after, and then you get 15.5. And you know what? That makes sense. Robinson is turning 30. Cutting him salary cap wise, it's not saving you a dime. It's going to cost you 26 against the dead, right? So you're not saving anything if you cut Allen Robinson. Trading him, maybe 6.8 is saved against the cap, 11 against the dead. So the Rams are also saying they're willing to eat some of his salary. So again, I understand wanting to trade him, but he's going on 30, right? My fantasy for trading Allen Robinson would be trade him after June 1st. The Rams get back 15 against the cap, right? They get back 15 rocks against the cap. That's money they'll have in 2023. And it's only a 2-point dead this year. But I can't imagine anyone wanting to take on Allen Robinson after 2 really suspect seasons. I just don't get it. So in overview, the Rams are $14.5 million over the cap. 10 of that is going to active players on the roster in 2023, right? 4.4 is going to dead money, players who are no longer here, players we've moved on from. It's been very clear that Bobby Wagner officially will be cut, and that'll save the Rams 5 rocks, okay? That takes it down to where they're only 9.5 over. If they cut Floyd now, they're at 6.5. And if they trade Jalen Ramsey, and cutting Jalen Ramsey is not an option, if they trade Jalen Ramsey, there's still almost $1 million over the cap. So it doesn't even completely solve your cap issues. Now, again, a minor cut here or there, a readjustment, yeah, but now you're talking Wagner, Floyd, and Jalen Ramsey, right? And again, like I said, you can't release Allen Robinson. So thinking of the 14.5, here I am talking math. I hate math. I'm talking the Rams are 14.5 over the cap. Wagner's the given. He's already out the door. 9.5 you save. How about instead of cutting Leonard Floyd now, you cut Tyler Higbee now? That's 3.9. And that brings it down to the Rams are only 5.5 to 5.6 over the cap. And then, bold move, you cut Jordan Fuller. Jordan Fuller is making 2.7 this year. You cut him, you save 2.7, and the cap gets down to 2.8 where the Rams are over. And think about this. Wagner's gone, Ernest Jones steps in. I think we've all come to that agreement. Higbee's turning 30. He's a little too expensive, and this is a tight end rich draft, okay? You still have Bryson Hopkins, and if you need somebody that can block, you still have Ben Skoranek. You can't trade Allen Robinson, and if Allen Robinson stays healthy this year, if Van Jefferson is healthy this year, if Cooper Kupp is healthy this year, Skoranek snaps at receiver are going to kind of melt away. He's big enough, he's willing enough. Let's use that dude. He could be one of the blockers and at the tight end spot, right? And then, of course, it's a tight end rich draft, and the Rams could draft a tight end. With Fuller gone, a little bit trickier, but the Rams drafted both Russ Yeast and Quentin Lake, and they're already on the roster. They've already received playing time. And if creative with Jalen Ramsey, you have depth there. And again, I don't expect the Rams to be creative because they're married to this system. You need to really look at Jalen Ramsey in the total of what he means to the defense, and not just as a corner and everything he can do. He's a free safety. Let him float. Let him be, and let Yeast and Lake add depth. One of them start, one of them adds depth. We're not signing Taylor Rapp. Taylor Rapp is scheduled to make somewhere about $10 million this year. Do you want Taylor Rapp back for $10 million? I don't want Taylor Rapp back for $10 million. And then Nick Scott's not in a $10 million range, but he's a free agent. And you wouldn't mind having him back, but he didn't have a great year last year. And the truth is, Ram fans love him for what he did to Deebo Samuel when he leveled Deebo Samuel with the greatest modern hit in NFL history, right? But the Rams don't give second contracts to safeties. So you run with both Yeast and Lake, and you're creative with Ramsey, and then you draft another safety or two like they do every year and solve the safety issue. Then if the Rams are willing to deal with the dead cap, they can cut Floyd and get his 3 rocks back, and then they'd be 100,000 over under the cap, and they'd have some money, right? And Floyd in that whole scenario is the only painful departure. Wagner, we know, is gone, and we talked about his position. Higbee's 30 and aging out. Fuller, nice 2020, okay 2021, nothing in 2022. Thank you, sir. Here's your hat. What's your hurry, right? We could just let him go, right? And Floyd's the only painful hit if we do it that route, which can be rectified at number 36 in the draft, as it has the Rams drafting another edge rusher. Everyone thinks Rams going edge. It's pretty much the consensus, and I think the Rams need to go edge there as well. And either way, Kupp, Donald, or Ramsey will need to restructure. All of them, some of them, one of them. And because if it's about this window, if it's about 2023, I don't want to look at Cooper Kupp in 2024 with more mileage and more hits after another 100 reception season. Aaron Donald, we don't know. This guy keeps flirting like he's going to retire. So why don't we get the best out of him this year? And of course, Jalen Ramsey turning 28. You want Jalen Ramsey on your team. And those guys should be willing to restructure. The Rams should be willing to restructure them and suffer the pain of 2024. Yeah, it might be a big pain in the neck, but the window is open. The NFC is open. This division is vulnerable. 2024 will be a pain in the butt salary-wise, but what offseason isn't a pain in the butt with the salary cap, right? And 2024 also, the window of opportunity will have shrunk, if not completely closed. The 49ers will have likely solved their quarterback issues, likely same thing up in Seattle. Detroit, if they stay on track, they're going to be much more formidable. I expect the Texans to be better. I expect the Giants to be better. And that Ram window will have closed, if not shrunk significantly. The Rams, I think their fans are saying, and what we're saying, is the Rams are still in the now. And they need to recognize they're in the now. This window is still open in 2023, and I don't want them thinking about 2024. And if you had to trade a number one pick in 2024 to get us over the hump in 2023, let's do it. Let's do it, and let's be what we need to be now while this window is still open before Matthew Stafford takes another hit, right? And again, if the Rams can restructure all those deals, then cut Floyd after June 1st. Draft an edge guy, cut Floyd after June 1st, and save those 15 rocks, right? Leonard Floyd is nice. Leonard Floyd's good against the run. Leonard Floyd's okay against the rush, on the pass rush, but I don't think he's a world changer. If that's the pain I got to suffer to try to get back into contention for a Super Bowl, then yeah, I'm going to cut Leonard Floyd loose with Jordan Fuller and Tyler Higbee. All right. We'll throw him a farewell party. And the reason why June 1st is a big deal is that's the date where the teams are allowed to spread out their dead cap money. I know people say, why June 1st? Why June 1st? Because if you spread it out, you can spread out dead cap pain from this season into the next season, from 2023 into 2024, and it leaves teams money to operate in the current season. So basically, it's a dead cap window. It creates a 2-year window. So if I owe you $10 million in dead cap money, I can pay you $5 in 2023 and $5 in 2024, as opposed to paying it all in 2023. It's not that heavy. Also, regarding another thing, I saw a rumor about Joe Noteboom. Maybe the Rams should cut him, or I think I read the rumor. I didn't watch the rumor about Rams cutting Joe Noteboom. If you cut Joseph Noteboom, you save 2.5 rocks. Big flipping deal. But you pay 13 against this year's dead cap. If you trade him, it's a 7.5 savings, 8 against the dead. If you do it after June 1st, it's an 8.5 savings, 7 against the dead. Now that sounds okay. If you trade him after June 1st, not cut him, but trade him, it's a 13.5 savings and 2 against this year's cap, 6 against the next year's. Okay, you want to trade him, go with Alaric Jackson at left tackle, but who's going to trade and pay money for a left tackle coming off a torn Achilles, right? I don't know. I'm not ready to write off Joe Noteboom. I know a lot of people are, unless his recovery is not going well, unless it's a career ender. I do not want to see the Rams move off Joe Noteboom. I think it's way too soon after they were convicted and convinced that he was their guy after Whitworth's retirement. He even had Whitworth's thumb of approval at his back. I think we need to dance as long as Noteboom can dance. And also there is a precedent for this. In 1983, Eric Dickerson's rookie season, the first year John Robinson was there, Irv Pankey, who had been drafted second round, 50th overall in 1980 out of Penn State and had become the Rams left tackle, he ruptured his Achilles or tore his Achilles in a preseason game in 1983. And he came back the following year in 1984 to play in all 16 games at left tackle, starting 9 of them. And he remained a starter for the Rams through 1990. All told, the Rams got 10 years out of Irv Pankey. He never made a Pro Bowl, never made an All-Pro team, but Irv Pankey was solid. He was kind of like the left tackle version of Rob Havenstein in the 80s, right? Havenstein's the solid guy for the Rams since 2015, and that's what Pankey was at left tackle. Havenstein, of course, right tackle. The only difference is that maybe it'd be easier for Irv Pankey to come back from a ruptured Achilles at 6'4", 277, as opposed to Noteboom, who's playing at 6'5", 321. That's like a 44-pound difference. But technology's better these days, right? The technology, the players' health, the way they're taken care of nowadays is much better. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I think it's time for a commercial. Time to give you a little bit more of me, right? What the world needs, right? I'm Joe Terosian. I was a sports writer for 21 years. I still am, kind of. And I do this. I do RamView. And I am also a writer. I've written about 7 books. They're all on Amazon, some short stories. I've written 2 high school football novels. I showed them on Friday. I got them set over here on my desk right now. And I'll show him some other time. One's called Tangent Dreams, and it did really well. It's got a lot of nice reviews. You can check that out at Amazon.com, along with some of my other novels, some Christian dystopian novels as well. My day job is I am a pastor. I've been a pastor for 34 years, the Nazarene Church. Found out I have a connection with loyal RamView follower Dave Mitchell. So Dave, if you're out there, thank you. That was a great conversation yesterday. I got a little more information for you. And that's how I do it. And I make RamView. That's how I keep myself working in ministry. I work at a small church called Burbank Faith. And you can follow us at Burbank Faith Virtual right here on YouTube. Also, same title, Burbank Faith Virtual on Facebook. And so, yeah. So that's me. That's what I do. And oh yeah, by the way, contract or not, I will not bow to any sponsor. Okay, so is Bryce Young the last banner carrier for the small quarterback, right? We're hearing Bryce Young is 6 foot, everything all season and stuff. Now, character, performance in college, love Bryce Young. Guy that plays the last game, doesn't sit it out. I love Bryce Young. I'd want him on my team. But the measurements came in. Bryce Young came in measured at 5'10". 5'10". They're saying he is 5'10" right now. And I've seen his weight listed from 194 to 204, even as low as 189. I can say this. If Bryce Young is 6 foot, then I'm 6'5", all right? And his contemporaries in this class, Will Levis of Kentucky, he's running 6'3", 232. C.J. Stroud, Ohio State, 6'3", 213. Anthony Richardson, 6'4". I had heard before the combine 232. I've got him measured after the combine at 6'4", 240. And running a sub 4.3 or whatever, a sub 4.4, a 40-yard dash. Everyone is in love with Anthony Richardson right now. Stanford quarterback, Tanner McKee, late second, mid-second, early third. I've seen him all over the place. He goes 6'6", 230. Same for Hendon Hooker in terms of where he's going to land in the draft, 6'4", 218. To find a size comparison, not a talent comparison, but a size comparison to Bryce Young, you got to drop all the way down to Stetson Bennett of Georgia, 5'11", 190. That's the frame. That's the frame that Bryce Young has to find a complete cop. Now, talent-wise, better arm, better everything. But again, Bryce Young doesn't really have the Josh Allen cannon. You know, he has a good arm. He's a good player. You got to love him, but he's 5'10", right? And my question is, if Young fails through no fault of his own, we're not talking Johnny Football here, Johnny Manziel. We're not talking some guy that's going to sabotage his career. We're talking about a guy whose teammates love him, right? So we're not slamming him in any way whatsoever. But if he fails through no fault of his physical condition, is he the end for the small-framed quarterback? We've seen Tua Tagovailoa of the Dolphins, former Alabama quarterback, right? We've seen him get ragdolled not once, but on a number of occasions. When I was a kid, Jim Youngblood put a hit on Tommy Kramer of the Vikings regular season in 78. And Tommy Kramer did that fencing thing they talk about when your hands fence, and he was just moving his hands back. It was the freakiest thing I ever saw when I was 14. And to see Tua when he got ragdolled in, was it Cincy this year? That was scary. That was the scariest thing to happen on a football field until we saw DeMar Hamlin, right? And you know, this isn't one concussion or two. We're talking somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 he's already had. He's getting bounced around. And don't tell me it was his lower back when he got up earlier last season and was stumbling and bumbling and then came back in the game. And yeah, if you're going to sell me that Tua is 6'1", 217, I'm Brian Sipe. There's no way that dude's 6'1", 217, right? And it's not just about the height, right? The height spares you because you're able to make a quicker decision from the pocket if you got the height, right? You don't have to run around. They don't have to move the pocket. You can see the whole field the taller you are. But it's not just about the height. It's about being thick, right? Kyler Murray, there's another dude, right? If that dude's 5'10", right? If that dude's 5'10", I'm Jim Everett, right? He might be 5'10" in his cleats. He's 207. You can see he's a little bit thick, a little bit thicker than Bryce Young, obviously. But does Kyler Murray have some limitations? If you say Kyler Murray doesn't have limitations, you're not watching football. Johnny Manziel was 5'11", 207. I don't even think he was 207, right? Michael Vick, top draft pick back, 2001, 6 foot, 210, but he was a transcendent athlete. Bryce Young is not the athlete that Michael Vick was. And and Michael Vick is by far and away superior to Tua. So Michael Vick was a complete outlier, right? Russell Wilson's 5'11", great arm, and he's about 215. You look at Russell Wilson, there's nothing light about Russell Wilson, right? Probably the best comp in recent NFL history to someone like Bryce Young is Drew Brees. Drew Brees at last being measured was 6 foot 209, and that's probably the best Bryce Young comp that you can get. And but you think of all the quarterbacks that have come into the league, the number one draft picks, all the players that have come into the league. You need certain dimensions to be successful over any length of time. Brock Purdy. I didn't mention Brock Purdy. They're listing Brock Purdy at 6'1", 217. Yeah, I don't think I'm dancing with Brock Purdy being 6'1", 217. Sorry. Maybe he's 210 or something. But I really think that Bryce Young, if he is not successful, he's the end of the line for first round, high-end, top 10 quarterbacks at 6 foot or lighter being taken inside that top 10 of the draft. Looking at next year's draft, the top 10 quarterbacks coming back to college football next season. Caleb Williams, USC, he's 6'1", 215. He looks smaller. They got him listed at 6'1", 215, but he's got a thickness to him that Bryce Young doesn't. Drake May, North Carolina, 6'4", 220. Jordan Travis, Florida State, 6'1", 212. Michael Penix at Washington. Remember, he was at Indiana, Southpaw. Seems like he's been in college forever. He's at Washington, 6'3", 213. Bo Nix, another guy that seems like he's been in college since Obama's first term, 6'2", 213. Jaden Daniels is only 200 pounds, the quarterback, former Arizona State, current LSU quarterback. He's only 200 pounds, but he's 6'3", right? So he can see down the field, get rid of the ball quicker. They don't have to move the pocket for him to throw the ball. Sam Hartman, Notre Dame, 6'1", 210, the former Wake Forest guy, a little bit thicker. J.J. McCarthy's only 196, but 6'3", exceptional athlete, exceptional arm. K.J. Jefferson, if this guy's not going to play quarterback in the NFL, he might play right tackle, 6'3", 242. I thought it was really smart. There was talk about Jefferson joining this year's draft. A wise move. Kid needs to develop. And the Tulane quarterback, Michael Pratt, 6'3", 220, right? And so the size thing is an issue with Bryce Young. Love the guy. We got to see him when I was working at Mid-Valley Sports. We got to see him play at Cathedral, and then later when he transferred. And a good young man, great young man, good quality character, right? His commercials are good. But, man, 5'10", after watching what Tua went through last year, knowing how much they protect the quarterbacks, and you still couldn't protect Tua. If I had to take a quarterback number one this year, it's C.J. Stroud. I don't know if I'm moving up to get him, but I wouldn't have a problem taking C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud's been number one on my board since the college football playoff. I saw more of him than I saw him the previous 2 years at Ohio State. I like C.J. Stroud. So with that said, talking about the draft, there are a couple sites out there listing players pre-draft interviews, and it's always good to gauge those. One of the things I look for when I'm seeing who the Rams might draft is I try to find who are they targeting, who's being mentioned to them, and who went to the Senior Bowl. That's one of the places where the Rams have always drafted heavy from. If a guy's gone to the Senior Bowl, there's a strong possibility he might be on the Rams board. Also, if they've interviewed somebody, that gives you another idea. And sometimes they'll interview a player twice. And so that gives you an idea. So I actually found a site that was listing players who had pre-draft interviews. 31 teams listed the names of the interviews they had with draft prospects. Isn't that amazing? 31 teams. The only team not to have a list of anyone they spoke to, the Rams. Is that amazing or what? That's amazing. So typical of the Rams. And so if you're a Ram fan, you got to work a little harder. All right. Latest mock draft I saw. And again, the recency bias. Anthony Richardson has jumped all the way in this mock draft to number 2 and going to the Texans at number 2, which I thought was funny. Guys, Anthony Richardson is a heck of an athlete. If you could draft him and maybe develop him for a couple of years, but to play him now, draft him inside the top 10, I think is insane. I think it's just insane. Bryce Young drops from Houston at number 2 to Indianapolis at number 4. And maybe that might be a place for him. And then dropping all the way to Detroit at number 6 is CJ Stroud. Now, Detroit, if I'm Detroit, I'm not looking up or moving up to get a quarterback in this draft. I'm going to fill out all my needs and everything. But if I'm drafting at number 6 and CJ Stroud is there, I love you, Jared Goff, but I just can't smile. I'm going to have to make that move. I got to take him, right? If CJ Stroud is available with no movement by me at Detroit, and I'm Brad Holmes, and CJ Stroud falls to me at number 6, I think I might take him, right? I think I might take him because you know what? There might be some team out there that needs a Jared Goff. So anyway, Will Levis going number 8 to the Falcons, I believe. And that was that mock draft. And again, these mock drafts, they're like elbows. Everybody has 2. Everybody with a microphone goes and does them. I have not posted any mock drafts of my own. I've done that in the past. I had fun with it. It's a lot of fun. Pro Football Network lets you do a mock draft. Pro Football Focus lets you do a mock draft. If you search around, there are others. They're fun. Some of them will allow you to make trades. And if anything, they give you an idea of how players are trending, right? Anthony Richardson has a great combine, and he climbs all the way up to number 2 in the draft. So take it with a grain of salt. So mock draft I saw with the Rams had them taking 1, 2, at least 3 edge players. Number 36, it's not the first time I saw it. LSU edge, BJ Ojulari. Hey, that wouldn't surprise me if they did. That's popping up everywhere consistently across the board. And it's not going to be him, but it's going to be an edge guy. We think it's going to be an edge guy. If it's not an edge, I'd like a tight end. But the tight ends in this draft might be deep enough that you could take one at 69. In this mock draft, the Rams are taking Auburn linebacker, off-ball linebacker, Owen Popo. I don't like that because the Rams generally don't draft those linebackers that high. I think if the Rams are going to draft a linebacker, they're going to draft him at 103 or 104 like they did Ernest Jones. And so off-ball linebackers are not a premium you can find an off-ball linebacker. And then at 136, they have the Rams taking Nick Broker, Ole Miss. And then it goes down the line. Good call. Have the Rams taking safety, Jay Ward out of LSU. Have them taking 2 running backs, Cameron Peoples, Appalachian State, and Hunter Lupeke, running back, North Dakota State. I can see the Rams taking some running backs. I can see that. I can see them taking a corner as well. And then the quarterback, the one thing I didn't like about the Rams wire, the only thing I didn't like about the Rams wire mock draft by, I think it's Cam DeSilva, who did a great job. That's why I mentioned his name, did a great job. The only thing I didn't like about that draft is I didn't like Aiden Connell. Yeah, he looks kind of like a Ram quarterback, and I like Purdue, but this mock draft I saw had the Rams taking Max Duggan, and at somewhere in the 6th round, late 6th, early 7th. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with taking someone like him. He's a playmaker. He might not be an NFL starter, but you know what? He might be somebody who can develop into giving you a couple of games. All right, so cool. There we are. I want to thank our sponsors, Temple City Auto and Kistler Law. Some people just do stuff just for money these days, right? I will not bow to any sponsor, but we'd like to thank Kistler Law for being our sponsor, and Temple City Auto. You can check those guys out. Check out their websites, and then thank you for liking us and hitting us and leaving questions and sharing. Please do so, as we're here Monday, Wednesday, Friday, talking Ram football, NFL news, and when I think there's not enough NFL news to talk about, I will talk a little bit of baseball. and I will talk a little bit of basketball. But right now, this is fun stuff. It's fun stuff. It takes a few hours to kind of deep dive into some of it and put it all together. But it's fun. This part of the season doesn't write itself for you like the regular season does. The regular season writes itself for you. You're talking injuries, pregame, and all that kind of stuff, and complaining, of course, about Raheem Morris. So anyway, I'm Joe Terosian. Thank you so much. Hit like, share, subscribe. Follow us on Spotify. We're going to get back on Spotify this week. We took a break because we're just trying to figure a few things out there to take advantage of our presence on Spotify. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Take care. Thanks for the mug. Paul, we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.